There are some huge discounts this week in GTA Online, and this is of course because it is Black Friday week. Just like in real life, every year when it is Black Friday in GTA Online, we see some of the biggest discounts we'll see all year round. And this year is absolutely no exception, with there being some massive discounts on some of the best things in the game. So I thought I'd make this video to go over the things you absolutely need to be owning from what's discounted. These are some of the best vehicles and properties in the game that you should own anyway, but absolutely need to be picking up this week while they're on discount. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. The first three things I'm going to be mentioning are some of the vehicles from my top 5 must-own vehicle list. So I'm not going to go super in detail about each vehicle, but if you want to see the details behind each one, then go watch that video. But this week, you can get 50% off the OPRESSOR and the TOREADOR. The OPRESSOR is one of the best ways to get around the map and is really good because there's no cooldown, making it a great alternative to the Mark II. I actually recommended getting this before you get the Mark II. Extremely helpful to own. And the TOREADOR is one of the best vehicles when it comes to vehicle versus vehicle PvP. Great at taking out flying bikes and other vehicles. It's got great armor, great tracking missiles, it's got a boost, and of course it can go underwater. And finally, in terms of videos from that top 5 vehicles list, we have 30% off the RAIJU. Without a doubt, the best jet in the game, the best VTOL in the game, and on top of that, it's the fastest jet in the game with stealth mode as well. It's absolutely overpowered. Like I said, if you want a more in-depth as to why I chose them vehicles, go watch that top 5 video list, but all of them are discounted this week and you absolutely need to be owning all 3 of them. But moving on to other vehicles, this week you can get 40% off the Avenger, and I absolutely recommend getting it. The Avenger can be fitted with a weaponized vehicle workshop and a weapons bench, allowing you to customize weaponized vehicles such as the OPRESSOR Mark I, which can't be customized anywhere else, or only in other places that have the vehicle and weapons workshop. And the weapons bench allows you to take advantage of Mark II weaponry, but mainly out of the other service vehicles. I mean, like, look at the MOC, for example. The Avenger does everything that does, but 10 times better. It's an absolute fortress, and if you have a crew of people in the back of it manning the turrets, you can actually just take over a lobby, or even by yourself. It's got bombs, miniguns, and pretty decently tracking missiles. The weapons terminal for it is also discounted, but I wouldn't recommend getting it because it's not really a good way of making money. But the Avenger is just something you need to be owning. Now, moving on to the 30% off, so you can get 30% off the NIOBE. This is arguably one of the best sports cars in the game. A lot of the top racing guys say that it is the best sports car in the game. And if you play on next gen consoles, you can get HSW upgrades for this, which makes it extremely good. So going off my personal experience from playing on it on last gen, or well, PC, it's decently fast and has really good handling, and I can see why people use this so much in races. I can only imagine what it's like with HSW. But if you're someone who's partaking in lots of races, then you absolutely need to be owning this. Speaking of which, the next 30% off vehicle is the EMERUS. The NIOBE was a sports car. The EMERUS is a supercar and often regarded as one of the best supercars for racing, for essentially the same reasons as the NIOBE. It's got great speed, great handling, and it's just a really good race car. And I mean, look at it, it's absolutely beautiful. Now, if you're someone who doesn't race in GTA, or you just don't really have too much of an interest in cars, I can understand why you wouldn't be interested in getting these. But if you do racing at all in GTA Online, you need to be owning these. Speaking of which, you can get 25% off all of the open wheel cars, and the open wheel races are actually double money in RP this week. But out of them all, there's really one you want to be owning, which is the BR8. By far the best F1 open wheel car in the game. It's fast, got great handling. It's just the best. It's just the best. But if you do have a bit of extra money, I'd also recommend picking up the PR4. The BR8 is faster and better than the PR4, but from my personal experience, the PR4 handles a little bit better. And by that, what I mean is that it takes corners a lot better than the BR8, from my personal experience at least. Obviously, both of them handle extremely well because they're open wheel vehicles, but I think the BR8's better for overall and, you know, speed, but the PR4 is a lot better at taking corners in my opinion. So if you had to buy one, get the BR8, but if you have the money, get the PR4 too, because it might be helpful on certain tracks. Now, finally, moving on to properties, you can get the hangar for 35% off, and this is an absolute must own. Without the hangar, you won't be able to own pretty much all the good aircraft in the game, because you'll only be able to own Pegasus vehicles. You need the hangar to own certain types of aircraft and of course customize them and have them as personal vehicles. An absolute necessity. So if you don't already have one, you can get them really cheap this week. And the other property you might want to consider getting is 30% off the arcade, especially this week as it's guaranteed diamonds within the casino heist. If you're someone who likes to money grind with your friends, I'd recommend doing this because of course you can then do the diamond casino heist. But if you are a solo player, I'd avoid getting this because you need 2 few people to do the casino heist, and you might be better off getting a Kasaka if you don't already have one. But yeah, that is the absolute must-own from this year's Black Friday event. I know it's not the longest list, but I'm not going to fill it with clutter. This is just what I personally think you need to be owning from what's discounted this week. If I did at all miss anything, or if your list different to mine, then comment it down below. I'd love to hear. And if you did go on to find this video helpful, then please drop a like and sub to the channel, as it massively helps. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.